Have you ever watched a narcissist walk through life like they own the world, hurting people, manipulating reality, and somehow always landing on their feet? It's infuriating, isn't it? It feels like they never face consequences, never feel guilt, and never get what's coming to them. But here's the truth they don't want you to know. Narcissists are far more fragile than they appear. Their confidence, it's a mask. Their control, it's an illusion built on fear, shame, and insecurity. You may not be able to make them feel remorse. You may not even get an apology, but you can take back your power without screaming, without revenge, and without losing your peace. The real damage to a narcissist's ego doesn't come from fighting back. It comes from doing the one thing they never expect, growing without them. In this video, we're going to uncover 7 things that hit a narcissist exactly where it hurts, not with cruelty, but with clarity. Because when you stop feeding their need for control and start focusing on your healing, it's not just empowering for you, it's devastating for them. Let's talk about what truly destroys a narcissist's ego without ever losing your dignity. Have you ever seen a narcissist in a room where no one's paying attention to them? It's almost eerie. Their charm turns awkward, their energy shifts, and suddenly they're fidgeting, interrupting, or trying to steer the spotlight back to themselves. That's because narcissists need attention like oxygen. Without admiration, applause, or validation, their ego starts to suffocate. One of the most painful experiences for a narcissist is being publicly ignored. It doesn't matter if no one's being rude to them. What hurts is the indifference. When people choose to listen to someone else's story, laugh at another person's joke, or admire someone they secretly consider beneath them, it feels like a direct assault on their inflated self-image. This isn't just social discomfort, it's ego starvation. Narcissists operate under the belief that they are the most interesting, magnetic person in any room. When the room doesn't agree, it sends them spiraling. They may mask it with fake smiles or fake humility, but inside they're boiling with envy, resentment, and insecurity. It's not uncommon for them to sabotage conversations, name drop to regain relevance, or find subtle ways to diminish others, all in a desperate attempt to reclaim their throne. But what they fear most isn't rejection, it's irrelevance. So if you've ever watched a narcissist shrink in a setting where no one feeds their ego, you've seen one of the few moments when their mask begins to crack. Silence, it turns out, is their loudest humiliation. To a narcissist, the idea of being replaced is intolerable. In their mind, they are unique, superior, and impossible to live without. So when you walk away, and not only survive but thrive, it cracks the very foundation of their grandiose self-image. But nothing cuts deeper than seeing you choose someone better, a kinder friend, a more respectful partner, a wiser mentor. That doesn't just sting, it shatters them. They believed they were the high point in your life story. Watching you move on with someone who treats you with care and dignity is more than a rejection. It's proof that they were never the prize they imagined themselves to be. And because their self-worth depends entirely on being seen as the best, being replaced triggers full-blown ego panic. You may see them spiral into smear campaigns, twisting the narrative to make themselves the victim, or they may suddenly reappear, pretending to have changed, love-bombing their way back in, not because they miss you, but because they miss control. This isn't love, it's a desperate attempt to reclaim lost superiority. But here's what matters most. Choosing better isn't about them. It's about you finally seeing your worth. The narcissist can't handle being replaced because it forces them to confront something they've always denied, that you were never beneath them. You were simply evolving beyond their reach. And that truth is one they'll never fully recover from. One of the things people underestimate about narcissists is how deeply they depend on access. Even after the relationship ends, whether through discard or your decision to walk away, they rarely let go. They linger in the background, silently watching. They check your social media, scroll through your posts, ask mutual friends for updates, or find ways to stay in your orbit just to monitor you. For them, access equals control. So what happens when you cut that access off completely? It sends them into a quiet panic, blocking their number, removing them from social platforms, limiting mutual connections, or even going completely offline isn't just a boundary. It's a power shift. You've taken back your energy, you've taken back your privacy, and most importantly, you've denied them the one thing their ego thrives on: information. They want to know if you're happy, if you're dating, if you're struggling, if you're thinking about them, not out of care, but because it feeds their narrative. When they can't spy or lurk, they're left alone with the unknown. And nothing terrifies a narcissist more than not knowing how to insert themselves back into your life. The silence becomes a mirror. They can't control what they can't see. And that loss of surveillance, of emotional surveillance, makes them feel powerless, irrelevant, and forgotten. You didn't just disappear, you reclaimed your story. And in doing so, you left them screaming into a void that no longer echoes back. There's a moment in healing that feels like a quiet revolution. You wake up one day and the craving is gone. The obsession, the pleading, the constant emotional spinning, they've faded. The narcissist who once consumed your thoughts now feels distant. That right there is freedom. And for a narcissist, it's also defeat. See, trauma bonds are built on emotional highs and lows, on confusion, desperation, and longing. They condition you to associate pain with love. That dynamic gives the narcissist immense control. As long as you crave them, they matter. As long as you're hurting, they're relevant. Your desire is their proof of power. But when you finally heal, when you stop looking for closure, stop checking your phone, stop replaying old memories, you're not just moving on, you're breaking the spell. And nothing wounds a narcissist more than the realization that their manipulation didn't last forever. They may sense it, they'll test your boundaries, they'll try to bait you back in, but when their old tricks no longer work, when your heart no longer flinches at their name, it's a kind of ego death, because your detachment is undeniable proof that they are no longer needed, wanted, or powerful in your life. You didn't just survive them, you outgrew them, and in doing so, you shattered the illusion they were desperate to maintain, that they were irreplaceable. Healing isn't just personal victory. For the narcissist, it's the one ending they never saw coming. One of the narcissist's most insidious tools is the narrative. After a fallout, they often move quickly to paint themselves as the victim, spinning half-truths, omitting key details, and portraying you as unstable, toxic, or cruel. Why? Because controlling the story allows them to control how others perceive them and how they continue to control you through shame, guilt, and isolation. But what happens when that mask cracks? When others begin to see through the illusion, especially mutual friends, co-workers, or family, it cuts the narcissist deeply. Their grand image is everything. Being exposed as manipulative, dishonest, or abusive isn't just embarrassing, it's shattering. Narcissists aren't equipped to handle accountability or contradiction. Being doubted, disbelieved, it sends them into internal chaos. What's worse for them is when you receive validation. When others say, "I believe you," or "that makes sense now," it threatens their entire structure of control. The more your truth is supported, the less power their version of events holds. And without that, their sense of superiority begins to unravel. They may lash out, launch smear campaigns, or attempt to remanipulate the narrative with urgency, but something inside them knows they're losing control of the one thing they always counted on, the ability to bend perception. Your healing becomes a mirror, and when others finally see what you've known all along, it doesn't just liberate you, it exposes them. And for a narcissist, that's a devastation their ego may never fully recover from. One of the most disarming things you can ever do to a narcissist is say no calmly, not with rage, not with tears, not with drama, just quiet, unwavering certainty. No, thank you. That doesn't work for me anymore. Simple, director, peaceful. Why does that bother them so much? Because narcissists thrive on chaos. They expect explosive arguments, emotional outbursts, and dramatic exits, things they can twist, escalate, or use to re-enter your life. If you scream or cry, they know they still matter. You're still emotionally invested, but when you respond with grace, with clarity and composure, that's a boundary they can't manipulate. Graceful boundaries tell them, "I've outgrown the game. You're not fighting, you're not explaining, you're not defending, you're just done." And the narcissist has no defense against quiet strength. There's nothing to attack, nothing to bait, nothing to exploit. It makes them feel powerless. They may try harder to provoke you after this. They may poke, guilt trip, or escalate just to break your composure. But when you hold that boundary with peace, it reflects something terrifying to them. You're no longer emotionally accessible. And that's the worst kind of rejection for a narcissist. Not being hated, but being neutralized. They crave chaos. You gave them silence. They wanted a war. You walked away without firing a shot. And in that moment, your dignity speaks louder than any insult ever could. A narcissist counts on your collapse. When they discard you, or when you finally walk away, they expect to see you crumble. In their mind, they were the reason for your light, your worth, your direction. So when you begin to rise, glow up mentally, emotionally, physically, it does more than surprise them. It shakes them. Your glow up isn't just about looks or success. It's about energy. You move with peace. You speak with confidence. You carry yourself like someone who has returned home to themselves. Maybe you landed a new job, reconnected with your purpose, deepened your spirituality, or finally healed the wounds they once used against you. That growth becomes a mirror, and the narcissist hates what it reflects because your evolution is proof that they were never your source of strength, that you were never broken, just momentarily dimmed. And now, as your light returns, it exposes something they can't hide. Their own stagnancy. While you evolved, they remained the same, still chasing control, validation, and ego hits. What they see in you now is not just rejection, it's irrelevance. You didn't seek revenge, you sought healing, but in doing so, your glow became the very thing they cannot tolerate. Undeniable evidence that you were always powerful, with or without them. You became the version of yourself they secretly feared you'd discover. And that is the ultimate effortless payback. If any part of this video hit home for you, just know you're not alone and you're not powerless. Narcissists may play the role of the untouchable, but deep down, their ego is built on quicksand. The moment you reclaim your peace, your silence, and your self-worth, the mask starts to slip. And remember, this isn't about revenge, it's about freedom. If you found value in today's video, give it a like and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future insights on healing, boundaries, and reclaiming your life. Now I want to hear from you. What was the moment you realized you were no longer under their control? Drop it in the comments below. Your story could be the light someone else needs today. Thanks for watching. Stay strong, stay grounded, and most of all, stay unbothered.